All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to completely reframe how we look at the 70-year history of Grand Prix racing by unpacking some truly fascinating insights from Jan Mauro's book, Wheel to Wheel.
Because, usually the sport is presented as this dry almanac of engineering updates, changing regulations, and just a long list of champions. But that completely misses the soul of the sport. As Mauro argues, when we just recount a season, a champion, and a lap record, the history becomes accurate, complete, and honestly, completely dead on the page.
So it really makes you wonder, right? What actually drives the sport forward? If it isn't just the rules or the shiny new machinery, we have to look at the human element to see what truly pushes the absolute limits of speed and safety. And the answer to that question is rivalry.
We can actually organize this massive history by the eternal repeating archetypes of human conflict. Let's kick things off with our first dynamic: sprinters versus the strategists.
This right here is the ultimate clash of philosophies out on the track. On one side, you have the pure, instinctual speed of a frontrunner who feels they must lead every single lap. Think of legends like Ascari or Ayrton Senna. Against them stands the strategist, the calculating veteran who knows they only need to lead the very last lap of the last race. Your Fangios, Prosts, and Laudas. They aren't trying to win the corner. They are playing the long game to win the calendar.
To put this into perspective, just think about this tiny yet absolutely monumental number, 0.5. Back in 1984, the calculating strategist Niki Lauda beat the significantly faster Alain Prost to the World Championship by just half a point. Prost won 7 races to Lauda's 5, but Lauda methodically banked those unglamorous, grinded-out finish line points.
As the saying goes, the margin is the meaning. Whether it's that excruciating half point in '84 or James Hunt besting Lauda by a single point in the torrential blinding rain of 1976, these razor-thin margins reveal the immense psychological toll of an entire season. The real drama of the sport doesn't live in the blowouts. It lives right there in the margins.
What's really fascinating is how these drivers adapt to those margins. Ironically, Alain Prost actually had to lose to truly figure out how to win. He absorbed the bitter lesson of that half-point loss and completely transformed himself into the professor, the ultimate strategist. He learned the hard way that strategy beats raw speed, which perfectly set the stage for his explosive, legendary war with the pure sprinter, Ayrton Senna, just a few years later.
Which brings us to our next archetype, the teammate civil war. Welcome to the garage battlefield.
This is without a doubt the deadliest rivalry in the sport. When two champions are given identical cars and data, the conflict inevitably turns psychological. First, having equal machinery removes all excuses. Then, the paranoia and resentment start creeping in. And ultimately, because they are way too busy fighting each other, the championship is often just handed over to a third party.
And we've seen this exact trap spring repeatedly across the decades. Take 1982. Gilles Villeneuve and Didier Pironi's friendship was totally destroyed over a single ambiguous pit signal, ending in ultimate tragedy. In 1986, Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet loathed each other so intensely at Williams that they let Alain Prost slip right through and steal the title. And of course, in 2007, Fernando Alonso and a rookie Lewis Hamilton literally tore McLaren apart from the inside, proving that the most dangerous opponent a driver faces isn't in another team's colors, it's the guy sitting right next to him.
Just look at the mathematical cost of that 2007 feud. Because Alonso and Hamilton spent basically the entire season sabotaging each other, Ferrari's Kimi Räikkönen quietly tiptoed right past both of them and stole the championship by exactly 1 point, 110 to 109.
So the crucial takeaway here about the garage battlefield is this. When you can't out-engineer your rival because they share your exact car and your exact data, your only option is to outdrive or out-politic them. It destroys all neutral ground and turns a professional competition deeply, deeply personal, often costing the team absolutely everything.
Now, we have to shift our focus to the ultimate opponent in our next section, the rivalry with death.
This is a rivalry where the prize wasn't a shiny trophy, but literally the continuation of human life. Looking at the timeline, you can see how the sport evolved from racing in cotton shirt death traps to demanding engineered safety. And this was driven entirely by the drivers who refused to accept the horrifying odds. Jim Clark's death in 1968 completely shattered the illusion that skill alone could keep you alive.
That catalyzed Jackie Stewart to campaign relentlessly through the 70s for basic things like barriers and medical infrastructure, often facing immense backlash for it. And tragically, it took Ayrton Senna's death in 1994 to finally mandate the modern survival cells we see today.
What's really incredible here is how the very definition of bravery had to change. We went from the reckless courage of the 1950s, where drivers basically just ignored the fear and accepted the odds of death, to Niki Lauda's cold mathematical risk calculation in the 1970s. I mean, Lauda famously returned to racing just 6 weeks after being severely burned, and he didn't do it out of reckless abandon. He did it because he sat down, did the math, and decided the championship was worth the risk.
And because guys like Jackie Stewart fought so hard against the establishment, today's drivers can battle wheel to wheel at 200 miles an hour and walk away from impacts that used to be a guaranteed fatality. They fight inside these incredible carbon fiber survival cells, which allow those fierce rivalries to continue, but with a real fighting chance of survival.
And that brings us perfectly to our concluding narrative. One corner, nobody lifts.
This ties the entire 70-year history into one singular truth. Just look at how this pattern repeats across the generations. Whether it's the gentleman racers of the 50s like Ascari and Fangio, the bitter public feud of Senna and Prost in the 80s, the precise combat of Schumacher and Hakkinen, or that hyper-engineered hybrid finale of Hamilton and Verstappen in 2021, it's the exact same human drama playing out on the track. Sure, the cars basically turned into carbon fiber spaceships, but the fundamental drama, it hasn't changed at all. The psychology is exactly the same. As the source material beautifully states, progress is only discovered when two people test the limit against each other at the exact same time. The limit isn't found alone, it is found in combat.
Ultimately, the sport is just a single 70-year argument about how badly you are willing to want it. It's this unbroken arc proving that the true engine of the sport is rivalry itself, removing the option of comfort and forcing greatness out of these drivers. Every leap forward in technology, in safety, and in human performance happened because someone flat out refused to finish second.
So, here's what you should take away from all of this. The next time you watch a race, try looking past the aerodynamic wings, the complex engines, and the point standings. Look at the two human beings inside those machines hurtling toward each other, and ask yourself one profound question. When they reach the corner, who lifts?